Welcome to Inside City Hall. I'm Mayor Darrell Seymore, and today we're outside here at the White Mountain Connection. Tom Hakenewerth, the director here. We're glad to have you here today, Tom. We're going to talk a little bit about the White Mountain Connection and kind of ridership and why we have. In our background, we have a brand new bus. So, Tom, how many buses do we have coming? And share a little bit about.
Mayor, we have actually 4 buses that were delivered. This is one of the buses, as you can see, that goes to White Mountains, or is the White Mountain Connection. This bus goes to Holbrook and back. The new buses that we have en route right now are for the Four Seasons Connection.
Okay.
They're a little bit smaller than this one. We do have another bus coming to sister this one in October. It'll be the same size as this one to help that route going up to Holbrook and back.
Now, how many people does this hold?
This bus here holds 28 passengers with 2 wheelchairs.
Okay.
If you fold the seats down, it'll hold 30 passengers with no wheelchairs.
So we'll be running 2 of these buses?
Well, it'll be a backup for this one.
Here.
Right.
So what are the hours that we run from Show Low to Holbrook?
This bus runs Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. or a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Okay. So it leaves here at 6:30. It will get in Holbrook about what time?
It gets into Holbrook, and it goes 3 times a day.
Okay.
So it's designed to pick up here and take people to work, and then bring people back to do their medical or whatever they have to do here in Show Low, and all the municipalities in between.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you can get from here to Snowflake, here to Taylor, here to
Correct.
Holbrook, and back, for your day. And a lot of people can commute rather than, having the personal cars back and forth. That's fantastic. So what else do we have with the White Mountain Connection? It's strictly there. Is there anything expanding in the future that you're aware of?
We do have some ideas about expanding the route, maybe towards Heber Overguard. There have been talks about maybe setting up a connector into St. John in that direction. But that's all just in the talking phase right now.
Then we come back into Show Low and what we do here with the Four Seasons connection going up into Pinetop Lakeside into Honda. What is that transition and route
that is our Four
there?
Seasons connection, and that runs Monday through Saturday, 12 hours a day. There's 2 buses, and they make 2 routes. They start at Walmart. They leave Walmart at 6:30. And one bus goes up to the casino, the other bus goes to the Circle K on 260, and they make that loop every hour.
Okay.
So we try to blanket as much as the community as we can, and we're typically doing about 13,000 passengers a month.
Wow. With
that service. About 52% of the passengers who do ride that service board in Pinetop. Okay. So there's a lot of people going back and forth between the 2 communities.
Oh, that's fantastic. And then, up into Honda, that area, they've come down, and then they come from Pinetop Lakeside. We have people going up there where the hospital is, doctors. I mean, it's kind of neat that we have that central base right there around Summit, and Walmart is kind of the center between the 2 towns, but it definitely is a good connection.
Yes, Walmart is definitely our hub. That's where both buses meet, and people can get on one service onto the other, and actually this service meets there too 3 times a day. So all three buses are meeting there at our central located hub there by Walmart and Summit Healthcare.
I know about 1.5 years ago we built a new shelter right there across from the hospital. And how are we for shelters and things where people can get out of the rain, get out of the weather during the bus riding?
The majority of our bus stops are sheltered or covered bus stops or bus shelters. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned, that shelter in the Walmart parking lot is our hub, and it is a lot bigger than the regular bus stops. But I would say 90% of all of our bus stops have covered shelters.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And we are working on getting the rest of them covered.
There were some ideas of maybe having a Four Connections app where maybe it would show the buses exactly where they were, how close they were getting to your stop. Have you guys thought of anything like that, of maybe doing an app where people would be able to know exactly how close the next bus is to that area?
We have been talking about that, and maybe going with social media and linking with something like a timetable on your smartphone where you can see exactly when the bus is or where the bus is and when it's going to be at that next stop. That is an idea that we're toying with right now, and it does look like it might come to fruition in the future.
That's great. What is the cost to ride the connection, say, from here to Holbrook, and then also the Four Seasons
Well, I'm
connection?
glad you asked that, because you can get on this bus in Pine Top and go all the way to Holbrook for $5.
$5. That's fantastic.
So, and you can get a pass. If you're going to do a round trip, you can get a round trip pass for $8. And if you're riding our service in town, that's $1 to board the bus. Handicap and disabled, senior citizens ride for 50 cents.
Okay. Do we have like a monthly pass or a quarterly pass?
There are several different passes that we offer to the general public. There's a monthly pass, and if anybody has any questions about the prices on different passes, they can of course get a hold of me at this office, and I'm sure we can give out the number. But in general, a monthly pass for the Four Seasons connection is $30, and it's a punch pass. So you buy that pass, the first time you use it, they'll punch it, and it's good for 30 days after. Okay.
Is there anything for a family discount if there's a family rate? Say I had 5 children, and instead of all of us having to pay that $30 a month.
Oh, well, the $30 pass is good per person. We do offer children under 5 ride for free.
Okay, that's great. Well, I appreciate it. It's great to know a little bit more about our ridership that we have here in the White Mountains, and we appreciate all that you do to make sure that this is up and going. I think it's neat to say that we're not only known in Arizona, we are one of the best transit areas, and when you look at the service here of the White Mountains, it's neat to be recognized that, and we appreciate the partnership that we have with Pine Top Lakeside, with Honda, with other cities, the county, being able to make this possible for our citizens.
Well, this service definitely ties our community together, and it's a well-used service. A lot of people depend on this service, and I'm glad to be a part of this.
That's great. Well, Tom, appreciate it.
Mayor,
Thanks for being
thank you
with
as
us
always.
today. Stay tuned for our next segment where we'll have Justin Johnson, the new Finance Director of the City of Shelter. Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Our next guest is Justin Johnson, the Administrative Service Director for the City of Shola. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Mayor. Pleasure to be here.
We're glad to have you today with our show. So you've been on the job now about 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Completed 3 weeks on Friday.
Oh, that's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your background, kind of where you came from and some of your experience you've had.
Yeah, thank you. Spent about 10 years in Utah in city government. I finished an accounting degree at University of Phoenix in 2001 and had an opportunity to become a finance director in Roosevelt, Utah. And at that time, I spent about 5 years with the city of Roosevelt working in the finance director position. And in 2009, I was offered the city manager position. And at the same time, I also was starting a master's degree in human resources with Utah State University. And so I spent about 10 years in city government in Utah and felt like I got a lot of good experience there and had an opportunity in a smaller city to learn about how government works and learn the political process and all the ins and outs of city government. And it was a good experience for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. So a little bit about your background. You're a native of Arizona.
Yes.
You grew up down in Pima, Safford area.
That's right. Most of my life I spent there, went to high school there, and then after I graduated high school, I worked down in the valley in the semiconductor industry for about 12 years. And that's where I met my wife, and we decided we want to raise our children in a smaller town and had a good opportunity to go to Utah and do that. And now we're coming back to Arizona, which is where we've always wanted to be.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you're not too far from home, but far enough to not to have visitors every week, right?
This time of year we might get more visitors because we do have relatives in Phoenix and in the Safford area. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah.
So you've had a little bit of chance to look at our budget. I know we just finalized our city budget here at the last council meeting, but share with us a little bit about how you see the finances of Show Low right now.
From what I can tell, the city of Show Low is in great financial shape. The budgets have been managed well in the departments. We expect to carry over a significant portion of the budget from fiscal year 2015 to 2016, which gives us flexibility to work on projects and do the things we need to do to provide adequate service to the residents. So overall, I'd say I'm very happy with the status of the budget. And Ed and the staff have done a good job of communicating with the council and keeping the public informed.
No, that's fantastic. So what have you found different from Utah way of budgeting or their government versus moving into Arizona, cities and towns?
I would say it's very similar. Some of the reports that are required are slightly different from state to state. But as far as the process goes, with Show Low, I think the budget process starts earlier because it's a much bigger budget. The budget I'm used to is about 15 million. And we're close to 60 now, so there's a few more departments, a few more interlocal agreements and arrangements that way that I'll have to get used to. But other than that, it's very similar, just the larger scale.
Okay. So exactly up in Roosevelt, that's a little north of Utah. You're kind of close to, I guess, kind of the oil fields up in that area, and not far from what the Dakotas, Colorado,
yeah.
Basically there, and had some of the oil boom and bust areas in that community.
Yeah, we were fortunate when we arrived in 2005 to be in a good economy there, and it was pretty stable up until this last year when you saw oil prices drop from about $112 a barrel to close to 40. And when that happens, the exploration stops and a lot of the transient people leave the area, and that has a huge impact on sales tax and the local economy.
Okay. Do you see anything like that here in Show Low that could, affect the economy as quickly as what that did up there?
I would say not. I think Show Low is going to go more with the national economy, because of the tourism and that being one of our main revenue sources here. In Roosevelt, we were kind of the opposite. When everybody else wasn't doing well, we were doing well. When gas prices were high, we were doing well. So I would expect it to be a little more stable here in Show Low and less of a cycle, more consistent.
Okay. So your family, not to get totally into your personal life here, but they'll be joining you here shortly. They're just finishing up. I guess you have children in school, and they'll probably be more than excited to change schools again and come down here. But be a Cougar's not too bad.
Right. The school they're at now is actually Cougars also, so they won't have to change the mascot. But we have our house sold. We expect to close in a couple weeks, and I expect my family to be here middle of July.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, what do you see in budgeting or process that you've done? Is there anything that you would like to add to the City of Show Low's process that we do, or maybe some of the accounting techniques that we aren't doing that you would like to maybe lean towards a little bit more?
I expect to review some of the policy with staff. I think they have good ideas and suggestions about maybe trying to improve some of our policies that we currently have in place, and then maybe also look at our accounting software and see if that's the best fit for what we need. We'll probably have an opportunity to upgrade that system, which can be a little bit expensive, and that's a good time to shop around and see if there are other products that may be a little cheaper or a little better. So those are some things I would probably target in the next month or two, and as well as just preparing for budget next year. It's something that's an ongoing process for the finance department, and the city manager's office and all departments is constantly working in the budget. When we final and get our budget adopted, we almost immediately start preparing for audit, and then also start preparing for fiscal year 17's budget rolling out in January and getting working with the council.
Okay. One of the things that we've talked about at council, and it'll probably be, on the retreat or, but it's hard with the economy changing so much the way it has in the past. But to try to get to possibly a 2-year budget or something that was a little more forward projected out, it's hard to do sometimes with all of the different developments that we have going on and the changes currently. But that's something that possibly, and also to get a little bit more to a priority-based budgeting where we're focusing totally on the priorities that are most important with the city. I think staff does a fantastic job with that right now, but it can come down to maybe tweaking things a little bit more where the main priorities are funded maybe a little bit differently in the future.
Yeah, one thing we did in Roosevelt was we started looking at a 5-year plan. So not only were we trying to address current items, but we were making a list, and that list is probably going to change 5 years out, but at least gives the council an idea that staff's prepared and has prioritized projects and will help plan for the future, knowing what capital we would need to complete projects.
That's great. Well, I appreciate having you today, and we're excited to have you working with the city of Shola.
Thanks, Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being here, Justin. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on Inside City Hall today. And if you have any questions you would like answered, please call the city, 532-4061, and we'll answer them here on the show. Thanks again, and have a great day.